The crystalline spires of New Terra gleamed under the triple suns, casting fractured rainbows across the refugee district where Jassy huddled in the shadows. Her scales, once iridescent purple like her mother's, had dulled to ash gray from malnutrition and the suppressant collars the Galactic Council forced all dragonkin to wear. The device hummed against her throat. A constant reminder that her fire, her heritage, her very essence was considered too dangerous for this civilized world. 3 months had passed since the shattering sense the dragon homeworld of Paraxis had been consumed by the quantum singularity. 3 months since she'd lost everything. 3 months since that human boy, Daniel, had done the impossible. Jassy's clawed fingers traced the small data crystal hanging from her neck, replaying the memory stored within for the 1,000th time. She watched herself thin, desperate, her voice barely a whisper approaching the human in the marketplace. "Could you give me a hug, please?" she'd asked, expecting rejection, mockery, or worse. The humans and dragonkin had been at war for 2 centuries. His people had invented the suppressant collars. His people cheered when Paraxis fell, but Daniel hadn't sneered. He hadn't walked away. His dark eyes had widened, filled with something Jassy had never seen directed at her kind before. Compassion. Without hesitation, without fear of her claws or her otherness, he'd wrapped his arms around her trembling form and held her while she sobbed into his shoulder. "I'm sorry," he'd whispered. "I'm so sorry for what you've lost." That hug had saved her life. The warmth of genuine kindness had rekindled something in her dying soul. But Daniel had vanished into the crowd afterward, and Jassy had been unable to find him again until today. Subject 7 Delta Jassy. Report to Sector 9 Processing Center immediately. The announcement crackled through her neural implant, making her flinch. Processing centers were where dragonkin who couldn't work were relocated. Euphemism everyone understood meant disposal. She'd missed too many labor shifts. Too weak from hunger to haul the plasma conduits the city required. Fear coursed through her veins as she navigated the sterile corridors. Toward Sector 9, the building loomed before her. All sharp angles and cold metal, decorated with propaganda hollows showing smiling humans and integrated dragonkin working in harmony lies wrapped in pretty lights. Inside, a guard directed her to room 347. Jassy's hearts hammered in dual rhythm as she entered, expecting to find a termination chamber. Instead, she found Daniel. He stood beside a medical pod, wearing the white coat of a xenobiologist, his hair slightly longer than she remembered. When he saw her, his face transformed with relief and something deeper joy, perhaps, or recognition of a kindred soul. "Jassy," he breathed her name like a prayer. "I've been searching for you everywhere." You remember me?" Her voice cracked, unused to speaking. The suppressant collar pulsed, detecting her elevated emotional state. "Remember you?" Daniel crossed the distance between them in 3 strides. "You changed everything for me. That day in the marketplace, seeing what we'd done to you, to your people, I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't go back to pretending the war was justified." He gestured to the equipment surrounding them. "I've been working with the Underground Railroad helping dragonkin escape off-world to the free colonies. But I needed to find you first. I've been using my clearance to search every refugee database." Jassy's mind reeled. "This is a trap. You're human. You're one of them." "I'm one of the ones who's trying to fix what we broke," Daniel said softly. He approached slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. "That hug you asked for? It woke me up, made me realize that your people aren't monsters, you're victims. And I had a choice: keep being part of the problem or become part of the solution." He reached toward her throat and Jassy instinctively recoiled. But his fingers were gentle as they interfaced with the suppressant collar, entering an override code. The device clicked open and fell away. Immediately, warmth flooded Jassy's body. She gasped as her fire core ignited for the first time in months. Her scales began to shimmer, purple iridescence slowly returning. Power, her birthright, surged through her bloodstream. "Why?" she whispered, tears streaming down her scaled cheeks. "Why would you risk everything for someone like me?" Daniel's smile was sad but genuine, because that day you trusted me enough to ask for something as simple and profound as a hug. You saw humanity in me when you had every reason to see an enemy. How could I offer you anything less? He pulled out a falsified identity chip. There's a transport leaving for the Andromeda Free Zones in 3 hours. This will get you through security. You'll be safe there, Jassy. You can live without fear, without collars, without— Come with me, Jassy interrupted, surprising herself. Her newly freed fire made her bold. You said you're part of the underground. They need people in Andromeda too, don't they? Coordinators, advocates, bridge builders between species? Daniel stared at her, hope and uncertainty warring in his expression. I have family here, responsibilities. And I have nothing, Jassy said, her voice stronger now. Nothing except the memory of a human who showed me that kindness still exists in this shattered universe. Please, Daniel. You saved my life? Let me show you what that life can become. Let me prove that your faith wasn't misplaced. She extended her hand-clawed, scaled alien toward him. An echo of that day in the marketplace, but with their roles reversed, Daniel looked at her outstretched hand for a long moment. Then, with the same lack of hesitation he'd shown when hugging a desperate dragon girl, he took it. Together then, he said, a human and a dragon building something better than what we're leaving behind. Jassy pulled him into an embrace, her first act of free-willed physical affection in months. She felt his heartbeat against her chest, steady and certain. Thank you, she whispered into his shoulder, for seeing me when I was invisible, for hugging me when I needed it most. Thank you, Daniel replied, for asking, for trusting me, for showing me who I wanted to be. 3 hours later, a transport lifted off from New Terra, carrying 2 unlikely refugees toward a future neither could have imagined. Behind them, the triple suns set on a world built on fear and division. Ahead, the stars beckoned with infinite possibility, and somewhere between the worlds, a dragon girl and a human boy held on to each other, proving that sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply choosing compassion when the universe expects cruelty. End of episode 2.